Should Power Rangers rest in peace? Is it time for Hasbro to give the franchise we've loved for 30 years an eternal rest? This is a debate that has been going on social media for a long time, and although many think that this battle began with the announcement of the reboot, the reality is that it began long before the series was discontinued in 2023. The future of Power Rangers has divided fans into three camps, and I want you to tell me which camp you belong to in the comments. The first camp is made up of fans who want the series to continue adapting Sentai and keep making Power Rangers seasons as they always have, since that works very well for them. The second team are those who want the franchise to be rebooted and to create something different, as they think that what was being done before no longer works. The third team are those who think that Power Rangers should die, as it has given enough over those 30 years with all those seasons and it is time to give it an eternal rest. Which team do you belong to, and give me your reasons why you belong to that team? Let's analyze the three teams and let's be fair, as each idea has positive and negative aspects, but I can tell you right now that I belong to the second team. Let's talk about the first team, the fans who want the series to continue adapting Sentai and keep making Power Rangers seasons as they always have. The positive aspects of this idea are that the franchise only needed a few changes to improve, and we saw that in recent seasons they managed to make many of these changes. It is because of these changes that the Dino Fury series was so successful, although obviously other factors also influenced those results. Another positive thing about this idea from the first team is that Hasbro would not have to invest as much money since it can continue using the same formula that has been used since 1993. Spending money only on filming some scenes with American actors and paying little money for the Sentai action scenes. This brings us to the next positive point, which is that by purchasing the Sentai scenes, they don't need to come up with so many ideas for the new series, as the Japanese series provides them with the theme, the monsters, the Zords, and some of the main villains. Let's talk about the negative aspects of this idea from the first team, which is that Power Rangers is still a product, so it must generate profits. If a product does not generate profits, then it does not work, and although television series are an art form, they are also a business. All these series are not created for the love of art, they are created to generate income, and this is the main thing for any company. Power Rangers has been declining for many years due to changes in the modern world and society. We have explained this many times. Children no longer watch television, and this has caused many children's series to be less successful. Remember that the main business of Power Rangers has always been to sell toys, but there are only two types of customers in that business: children and collectors. Collectors have continued to buy action figures, but the children's audience is no longer as interested in buying toys. That's why the new campaign for Playmate's new action figures had to be different, and they started creating videos for YouTube. In addition to this, they hired YouTubers such as Ninja Kids to create several episodes of the Power Rangers series that they had previously created, with the aim of reaching the children's audience. The last negative aspect of this idea from the first team is the dependence on Sentai, which has always been a burden. Although Power Rangers is a different brand, it has always depended on what Sentai does in order to take risks. Yes, depending on another brand is a total risk, since Power Rangers cannot create its own story without limitations, and if Sentai's theme is a disaster, then Power Rangers will be a disaster too. This is quite limiting, as Japanese and American audiences are very different. Now let's analyze the second group, the fans who want the franchise to be rebooted. Although I am part of this group, I must admit that this idea also has some negative aspects, as nothing in life is perfect. Let's start with the positive side, which is that if what has been done for 30 years is no longer working, then a change must be made. Remember that what was done before was not working, but I am only referring to the revenue side, as many fans may have been happy with the new seasons, but that does not mean that the franchise is good business for Hasbro. By starting something new, we are giving the franchise the opportunity to become something better and perhaps succeed in all aspects. Another positive thing is that if the new Power Rangers series is going to be aimed at a more mature audience, then it opens up a new market that has been growing for several years. Maybe kids don't watch TV anymore, maybe they're not as big fans of superheroes, and maybe that audience only follows famous YouTubers, but with adults, it's a different story. Adults between the ages of 25 and 50 are very attached to superhero projects, especially the superheroes they watched when they were kids. This is why superhero movies and series are the ones generating the most money these days, and Power Rangers has everything it takes to be part of that group. The Power Rangers were born in 1993, which means that many classify them as classic heroes, and they have been part of pop culture for many years. If the Power Rangers manage to change and create projects similar to those of this era, then they may have a good chance of success. Another positive aspect of this second team idea is that the writers and producers would have complete freedom to create the new Power Rangers universe since they would not be dependent on Sentai. This means they can create a theme appropriate for the project, costumes suitable for the audience the series will be aimed at, and a story with more drama and depth. Imagine a series in which the franchise can delve into the stories of the Rangers' powers, the gods of the universe, the ancient Rangers, the multiverse, and many other things that Power Rangers has always had but has never been able to explore in depth. Although this idea of a second team has many positive aspects, it also has a very negative one, which is the great risk that Hasbro must take. We all know that the most successful Rangers in the franchise are the mighty Morphin Rangers, but these Rangers were created in 1993, and it has been very difficult to create another team that is more successful. By creating a new team in a completely different series, the company runs the risk that everything could fail. It's very difficult to get fans to love new characters, but it's also very difficult to attract new fans. Remember that for the reboot to be successful, the franchise must attract new fans who were not already Power Rangers fans or who may never have seen anything from the franchise. This brings us to the next negative point, which is that creating a series for a more mature audience requires a larger investment, which means that the risk of losing money also becomes greater. If they want adults to pay attention to a new superhero series, then the project must look good, with decent special effects and appropriate accessories. Basically, the same thing they did in the 2017 movie, a film that had impressive visuals and a $100 million investment, yet was a failure as it only grossed $142 million. This is the same thing that could happen to the Power Rangers reboot. They can invest a lot of money, but they run the risk of not making enough money to continue with the project. This would lead to the total failure of Power Rangers and bring us to the idea of the third team, which prefers that the franchise take an eternal break. Fans of this third team believe that Power Rangers can no longer compete with the big superhero franchises and that it would be better to bury the franchise to preserve its legacy without tarnishing it with the failure of a reboot. The positive aspects of this idea are that Hasbro would not lose money on an investment that could be a big risk and that they could perhaps continue to receive money from their agreement with Playmates. Remember that in that agreement, Playmates is taking the risk since they are the ones who must invest, and Hasbro only charges for licensing the franchise. The downside to this idea is that we would never give a chance to a franchise that has all the tools necessary to become one of the most impressive franchises of this era, and this is what many adult fans have been waiting to see for many years.